In the aftermath of America's exit from Afghanistan, governments around the world are re-examining their relationship with the United States and reassessing the level of protection they can expect from the world's key superpower. Top of that list is almost certainly Taiwan, but let us not forget about Ukraine, which continues to be embroiled in conflict with Russia. Moscow, of course, annexed Crimea by force from Ukraine in 2014. And Russia's President Putin doesn't hide his obsession with his neighbor. He published a long essay this summer casting doubt on Ukraine's right to be a sovereign, independent nation. Just last week, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zeleensky was in Washington for meetings with President Biden and other top U.S. officials. President Zelensky joins me now. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
So let me ask you, looking from the outside, it feels like you are in a very difficult situation. You have Russia and having annexed Crimea, parts of eastern Ukraine, with forces there. 100,000 troops, Russian troops, have been gathered on your border. Putin writes this long essay which basically says Ukraine may not really exist as an independent nation historically. We now get news from Gazprom that the Nord Stream pipeline has been completed, which is a way that Russia can bypass Ukraine, get energy to Europe, so you lose your one leverage that you had with the Russians. And then you get this news from Afghanistan. You watch what happened in Afghanistan as the United States withdrew its troops and essentially abandoned the government of Kabul. Do you worry that America will abandon Ukraine?
По-перше, ми точно повинні розуміти, що Україна...
First of all, we have to clearly understand that Ukraine, when compared to Afghanistan, I believe it's not an accurate comparison. I don't think we can compare that, Ukraine to Afghanistan. I mean that Ukraine is not so dependent on the United States like Afghanistan was. And I really believe that in 4 or 5 or 7 days, you can't take such a big country geographically as Ukraine, with such a quite big population, and simply occupy it like that.
You're very diplomatic, but you're not answering the question. Let me put it to you a different way, which is the Secretary of Russia's Security Council, you know, Nikolai Patrushev, he said explicitly, Ukraine should look at what Washington did in Kabul. Just as they abandoned Kabul, they will abandon Kiev.
В 2014 році
In 2014, and may our partners from the US and EU forgive us, in 2014, at first, we ended up where we ended up. There was Russian escalation. Our territories were occupied. No one was hand in hand with us. There was no military equipment other than what we had available at that time. There were no other troops, just the citizens of Ukraine. And therefore, we had the wave of volunteers, volunteer battalions, people who came together as a citizen effort to protect their own country. There was no one else. So in 4 days, even in 8 years, Russia didn't manage to take over. Russia, it's not the Taliban army. This is one of the most powerful armies in the world. That's why I think we stood for our statehood. And this is why I think we are as independent as possible from any economy. As I said to President Biden, and partially this is about concerning the possible exit from Ukraine. What does it mean to leave Ukraine? I mean, it's the other way around. The U.S. should enhance their presence in Ukraine. I'm very glad that we had a very powerful meeting on a high level in the U.S., and we have been looking forward very much to this, and the fact that we're in the priority list of the countries that President Biden met with. It means that we are a priority for the U.S., and we are thankful for that. That's a big signal. But behind this signal, we are also expecting actions.
You asked President Biden, when you were in the Oval Office with him, for Ukraine to become a member of NATO. Did he say yes?
Я запитав very directly. I asked President Biden very directly, what about NATO? What about Ukraine in NATO? What about our membership in NATO? and very directly when it can be.
And what did he say?
And he said that I think you have, as far as I remember, I mean, not all the words will be correct, yes, but the main meaning of his speech, it was speech, it's not one phrase, because we spoke about it, I think, during 20, 30 minutes, just about alliance, about the membership in NATO. He said, I think that you have to be there, but it's not only my decision. I think I heard this rhetoric from him before my meeting, so and I'm sure that it's true for today. It's true. I think it's not good position for power for USA. It's my mind. I'm sorry, just my mind. But it's true that it includes suggestions and mindings of some leaders of big European countries. But I know, and I said to him, I know, yes, you're right, Mr. President, but I think from your decision, this way to NATO will be shorter, will be more transparency, it will be more clear for us, for Ukraine. I know it.
So you think that
USA always give message and signal, I think, to Europe. And if we don't see very direct signal that yes tomorrow or yes the day after tomorrow, so I mean that, and that's why it goes such way.
I didn't realize at the time when we were talking to your team that you were under a lot of pressure from then President Trump to announce on television that you were investigating Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden. Did you ever think you would have to, did you ever feel the pressure from Trump was so great that you would have to come on a show like this and announce an investigation?
No. Maybe that was because I wasn't in politics before, and I was looking at life, and I still look at it just the way I do. I have to work a lot, a whole lot. I have to pay taxes, and I want to go down in history and gain success. That was my credo before I became president, and I was always happy when there was a victory and the Ukrainian flag would come up, but also when America would win TV awards and outplay us, or in sports, when they would outperform. I never thought that there was any pressure on us. I thought there's room to improve. So that's ambitious. I always thought that we are an independent country, and I feel like an ambitious, independent person who has to learn every day from the best. So that's why my conversation with President Trump was along the same lines. I knew that we needed to have good relations with the United States, that they support us, and we must get more from the United States. This was my objective.
That's why you wanted the White House meeting.
Yes. This is exactly why we wanted the meeting. It wasn't just about having a picture hanging over the fireplace. I mean, I'm very at ease with this. I'm very easygoing with these things. He is the President of the United States. This is not Robert De Niro. To me, Robert De Niro was my idol, you know. With him, I would talk casually, regardless of whether there would be assistance or not, before I became president. And here, this is serious stuff. This is at the level of the person on which the stability of our country depends, and the assistance to my country. We need a relationship.
Did it strike you as odd or disappointing that here's the United States telling Ukraine to clean up its corruption, and then the President of the United States is asking you to do something that was not very straightforward? He was asking you to do something to help his re-election campaign.
I didn't feel that he was making me do something, and I was telling the truth then. I didn't feel such pressure. As I said, quite ambitiously, I'm the president of my country, No one can pressure us. So this wasn't just my diplomacy and public position. I didn't feel it. Even if it was in someone's head, and someone had those plans. I wasn't ready to feel this, and I am not ready. I don't feel that. I was thinking about my country, about the assistance. I didn't want to jeopardize the military aid. And I wanted to have another meeting at the White House, because my country needed this.